Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the CD guy, Johnny Z here. Thank you so much for tuning back into the channel. Judas Priest have announced the first dates for the European leg of their new tour, the Shield of Pain Tour, coming in 2025, celebrating 35 years of the classic Painkiller record. But that's not all. The promotional poster for the tour also heavily features the artwork for their most recent album, the Invincible Shield, that was released earlier this year. Definitely an Album of the Year contender. And, given the name of the tour as well, that would imply that the setlist will not only be heavy on Painkiller material, but also on new tracks from Invincible Shield as well. So, kind of a joint album tour here for the, the Shield of Pain tour that we have upcoming. You're revisiting a fan favorite classic record while also spotlighting their new album. But doesn't that just sound a bit familiar? Now, I'm in no way trying to sound inflammatory here because Iron Maiden and Judas Priest are two of my favorite bands of all time, but doesn't the premise of this tour sound awfully similar to what Iron Maiden are doing right now with the Future Past tour? I mean, if you think about it, Maiden are touring currently their newest record, Senjutsu, from 2021, while also showcasing the classic Somewhere in Time record on this tour as well. Isn't that kind of similar to what Priest plan on doing here with Invincible Shield and Painkiller on the Shield of Pain tour? But, to say the Priest are copying Iron Maiden and copying this format might be a bit of a stretch, but I think it's interesting. This appears to be a new trend now. I think it's awesome that we get to hear classic deep cuts, like Alexander the Great and Heaven Can Wait, and in the case of Judas Priest, hopefully on this tour, between the Hammer and the Anvil and Leather Rebel, stuff like that. And if this is indeed a new format for bands going forward touring, it does raise a few questions, such as, are bands like Priest and Maiden maybe not as confident that new material will be able to, fill arenas if they just tour new albums alone? For Maiden, that's really never been the case, and for Priest, they just came off a very successful tour promoting Invincible Shield, so I don't think that's a problem. It may sound like a bad thing to say that Priest is, following in Maiden's footsteps here a bit with the premise of this tour compared to the Future Past tour, but I actually dig it. I think it's a great way to showcase new material and mix it in with some deep cuts from, a beloved classic album, like Painkiller or Somewhere in Time. This is clearly a working formula, and I honestly hope more bands try this out because there's just so many cool, joint album combinations you could make. As for a way too early mock set list for the Shield of Pain tour, this is what I'd like to see. Trying to, keep it realistic, right? And within the theme of the Invincible Shield meets 35 years of Painkiller vibe that they're going for, and obviously has to have some live stables included there as well outside of those two records. And so I thought, it should look something like this, just for me personally. You guys can see my set list right over here. Kicking things off with Hellion, Electric Eye. Track number 2, All Guns Blazing. Track 3, Panic Attack. Track 4, Between the Hammer and the Anvil. Track 5, Invincible Shield. Track 6, Rapid Fire. Track 7, Leather Rebel. Track 8, Metal Meltdown. Track 9, The Serpent and the King. Track 10, Touch of Evil. 11, Victim of Changes. Track 12, Beyond the Realms of Death. Crown of Horns, As God Is My Witness, The Green Manalishi with the two-pronged crown, and then Painkiller, the last song of the main set. Then for the encore, some classics, some live staples, of course, Hellbent for Leather, You Got Another Thing Coming, Breaking the Law, and Living After Midnight. So about 20 songs there. They did 18 songs on the last tour, 18 songs or so, so this is not out of the realm of possibility, and I think, considering some of my, picks in terms of, live staples that are already in the set list, and have been for, decades, it's pretty realistic, and just when it comes to tracks from Painkiller and Invincible Shield, just some stuff that I'd like to see personally on this tour. All in all, this is a really cool tour announcement by Priest. I think the whole idea of them, maybe copying Iron Maiden's Future Past tour format is an interesting talking point, but I don't see any problem with it, and it certainly is not a negative. Like I said, it's cool to have the opportunity to hear new stuff, and, of course, one of the greatest metal albums of all time in Painkiller, and have those two fused together onto one tour, celebrating 35 years of the Painkiller album, and, so far Priest have only announced European dates for 2025, but hopefully they do come to the States soon after, because you guys know, if they do, I will be there. I definitely don't want to miss this tour. So there's a lot to be excited about if you're a fan of Judas Priest right now, and a lot of really cool tours on the horizon in 2025 for rock and metal as well, so I'm definitely excited. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel down below, turn on the bell for notifications so you don't miss a new upload, and let me know down in the comment section below, do you think this new Shield of Pain tour is a little too similar to what Iron Maiden are doing on the Future Past tour? Do you think that maybe there's no correlation at all? Maybe I'm just grasping at straws, but nevertheless, I do think it's a good thing, not a bad thing, so I'm not criticizing them whatsoever. But what are some songs you'd like to hear on the Shield of Pain tour, and do you plan on seeing them on this tour? I definitely want to hear from you. And until next time, it's the CD guy, Johnny Z, signing off. Take care, everybody.